basically what Jeff Bezos communicated to the American people is that the editorial portion of the Washington Post is now useless and not worth reading at all. That's it.
Wow, is that what Jeff Bezos just communicated? Apparently, Jeff Bezos wants to change the direction of the editorial board at his personal blog, The Washington Post. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it seems to mark a sea change in the stance of that typical liberal media outlet. So, of course, the Young Turks, they don't like that. You know, God forbid that the owner of a newspaper or of a media outlet tells, creates a direction, lays down the law on what can be said in his media outlet. That's what they all do. I don't know why they're losing their minds over it, but let's get into it. Let's see what Anna Kasparian has to say about it, and I will comment a bit later.
Jeff Bezos, the billionaire founder of Amazon and unfortunately also the owner of the Washington Post, is putting his thumb on the free press's scale with a shocking new mandate for editorial writers. You know, the people who do opinion, op-eds, things like that. He's demanding that they essentially propagate his favorable views on free market capitalism or leave. So how exactly does it make sense to have editorials when the writers aren't really able to share their opinion, when they're just propagating Jeff Bezos's propaganda? Okay, so he says this in a note that he sent to Washington Post's team this morning on X. So he writes, I'm writing to let you know about a change coming to our opinion pages. We are going to be writing every day in support and defense of two pillars: personal liberties and free markets. We'll cover other topics too, of course, but viewpoints opposing those pillars will be left to be published by others. So in other words, we're going to publish editorials that benefit me and my worldview and help me maximize my profits. Okay. And he also writes, I'm confident that free markets and personal liberties are right for America. I also believe these viewpoints are underserved in the current market of ideas and news opinion. And then he informs about how he pushed someone out because they were unwilling to play ball with this new ridiculous directive. I offered David Shipley, whom I greatly admire, the opportunity to lead this new chapter. I suggested to him that if the answer wasn't hell yes, then it had to be no. After careful consideration, David decided to step away. This is a significant shift. It won't be easy, and it will require 100% commitment. I respect his decision. We'll be searching for a new opinion editor to be my little bitch. That was my addition to his statement, to own this new direction. Okay. So basically what Jeff Bezos communicated to the American people is that the editorial portion of the Washington Post is now useless and not worth reading at all. That's it. That's literally what he did by putting out the statement.
Yeah, that statement was amazing. I love so many parts of it. It's the free market thing. It's underserved. It's like, yeah, I watch CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. It's all just like UBI and wealth tax. It's just endless calls for regulation. Like, it's so ridiculous. And then it'll take 100% commitment. It'll be hard to not allow dissenting opinions to be. How hard is that? They email you with a pitch and you delete it. That doesn't censorship doesn't seem that difficult in this particular context.
Didn't conservative voters feel a lot of rage over censorship? What happened?
I've been trying for a very long time to get people to understand that when the left and the right use the term free speech, they mean very different things.
What does this have to do with censorship? This is a private platform. Isn't that what the leftists have been telling us for years? Well, if Facebook, back in 2016 or 2017, if Facebook wants to, remove posts in favor of, say, a certain jab or in favor of Donald Trump, then they're perfectly entitled to do so because they're a private platform. And the Washington Post is nothing if not a private platform. You can't make an argument that the Washington Post is the public square.
And I think this is a demonstration of it. They're not gonna have a single problem with that. As you're gonna demonstrate, they love it because it is consistent with what they mean when they talk about free speech and censorship and stuff like that, which has no relationship to either the way we think about it, or I would argue the way the Constitution and the founders thought about it. But I would also quickly say, before you move on to those reactions, I think the most obvious part of this that's terrible is that they're gonna be censoring these alternative viewpoints. But the second bad part of it is, it's not even, like, we shouldn't cede to him these two pillars, personal liberties and free market. He uses those terms as if, oh, we all mean the same thing when we say those things too. No, not at all. Dude is totally cool with a lot of what Donald Trump has been doing, Elon Musk doing, massive violations of personal liberties, just not the personal liberties that a white billionaire cares about. The free market means a certain thing if you're a billionaire who owns a monopoly over something like, Amazon and owns the Washington Post. The free market means a certain thing. It's you're free, hands off of you. But they want the government to be involved in subsidizing things and taking out their competitors and crafting our trade policies to benefit them. None of that has any bearing on a free market. They want those interventions. And so the pillars, it would suck if he was being honest about the pillars, but he's not even being honest about the pillars.
No, he's not.
Those pillars are spinning so fast you can barely see them.
So let me ask a question to Jeff Bezos, which of course I won't get an answer to, but
maybe he's watching.
Okay, if one of your pillars is supporting, the free market, can the Medicare system negotiate drug prices? I'm not talking about price fixing. I'm simply asking, can Medicare, which we the taxpayers fund, negotiate with pharmaceutical companies in order to get lower prices for drugs so American taxpayers are no longer getting fleeced by the pharmaceutical companies? Can we do that? Because I mean, how is it free market when you're not even able to negotiate prices?
Yeah. Well, let me modify that slightly. Can Anna write an op-ed pushing for Medicare price negotiations?
Yeah, can I do that? Is that okay? I mean, that's
Does
free
that
market.
fit with the narrow range of opinions that are allowed under your concept of free speech?
Holy straw man, what are these two on about? Yes, you can write an op-ed, Anna Kasparian, and whoever you are. You just go on the internet and write one. There's loads of blogs, there's there's no shortage of media outlets which would be happy to write those things, and we already do write those things. Plus, anybody can go and write those things. Alternative media is a thing. Why are they so pretending to be angry? Or maybe they are angry because at heart, despite Anna Kasparian's so-called rightward turn, she's just a big daddy government leftist.
Yeah. By the way, can I write a piece, an opinion piece for the Washington Post about the importance of having strong antitrust enforcement with the Federal Trade Commission? Because these mergers and acquisitions are certainly creating monopolies, thus depriving Americans of free market choices.
But again, that's the concept of a free market that he would definitely not cede to you.
Right.
The only violation of a free market is government regulation and interference. Not setting up cartels and coordination using AI models to make sure that rent is price fixed across neighborhoods between different companies. All of those are massive violations of the very concept of a free market.
Right.
But I doubt he would give a damn about any of it.
Well, he gets worse in his statement, so I want to give you the rest. He says, there was a time when a newspaper, especially one that was a local monopoly, might have seen it as a service to bring to the reader's doorstep every morning a broad-based opinion section that sought to cover all views. Today, the internet does that job. I am of America and for America and proud to be so. Our country did not get here by being typical and honestly, you are the kind of person who is like dead set on raping and pillaging America of its resources, but let me continue. He says, and a big part of America's success has been freedom in the economic realm and everywhere else. Freedom is ethical, it minimizes coercion, and practical, it drives creativity, invention, and prosperity.
For some.
Right, for some. And by the way, look, Are there areas of overregulation? Sure, you can maybe make that argument when it comes to what's happening on a state level in places like California, right? There are burdensome regulations that make it incredibly difficult for new businesses to get started, for new housing to be built. So I'm not one of these people who thinks like all regulation is great and I want more of it. No, but what he's specifically referring to are regulations that protect consumers from his predatory ass.
Well, I don't know. I think what Jeff Bezos said there makes sense. Yes, there was a time when newspapers, actual physical newspapers, I used to deliver them when I was like 11, 12 years old. I used to be a paper boy. Remember that job? You Americans out there? Anyway, and a lot of people would subscribe to the daily paper, maybe even to the Sunday paper. And yes, they kind of did have a monopoly in some places, or a semi-monopoly. And I gather that, yeah, the editorials would cover, there would be the typical slant of a given newspaper, more centrist or right wing or left wing or whatever. And from time to time, they would have guest editorials pushing a different view. But Bezos is right. The internet is in the process of destroying legacy media like newspapers, like cable news shows like CNN and MSNBC. People can get all sorts of viewpoints at on Twitter of all places or anywhere else. They can get plenty of viewpoints. And the legacy media don't seem to realize that they are dying. They are dinosaurs. Jeff Bezos seems to realize it. And I still don't understand what Anna Kasparian and her co-host are going on about here. And, what argument are they trying to make that Jeff Bezos shouldn't be able to run his newspaper the way he sees fit? It makes zero sense. And then Anna Kasparian talking about regulation. Yes, I do believe in regulation too. People left to their own devices, these robber baron types will eventually get so big and powerful, and that they do have to be reined in. I agree with that, actually. And Jeff Bezos probably is one of those guys. Yes, Amazon has done a lot of damage in many areas. I agree 100%. He is one of the robber barons. He's created a lot of value, yes, but also a lot of problems have come with that. Same with Microsoft. Same with same with Elon Musk at Twitter and his other companies. So there are problems to solve. There are yes, I think a healthy government governing over a healthy people, a sane society, would have to put guardrails up. That is the job of the government, to protect people from the big predators. But the way they're arguing here just makes zero sense to me. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments about all this. I find it kind of interesting, actually. But yeah, let me know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.